Good morning, everybody, and welcome along to our extensive, in fact, full live coverage of the ADAC Nürburgring 24 hours for 2022, the Total Energy 24 hours for 2022. It's the 50th anniversary of this fabulous event. And right throughout the next, 4 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, we'll be bringing you full coverage from the Eifel region, which today is splendid in terms of its weather. Little white fluffy clouds, and from our vantage point, exactly on the finish line, we can tell you that it's starting to get busy down in the pit lane. Alongside me, John Hindorf, is Johnny Palmer for the first part of our coverage. And welcome to you, JP, and welcome to the audience, sound and vision, all live, all free, across the world.
Thank you, John. Yeah, welcome to everybody for what is set to be a number of days in a row of a motorsport festival. It always is here at the Nürburgring 24 hours, but perhaps more special than usual, celebrating half a century of the twice around the clock event here at the Green Hell. And isn't it great to have fans in very large numbers back for 2022 to celebrate this anniversary? The Grand Prix circuit looking resplendent. We're going to be using the full version of that during the weekend, and then on into the Hats and back, and those corners that just trip off the tongue, like Schwedenkreuz, Arenberg, the Foxhole, Adenauer Forst, and the mighty Caracciola Carousel as well. Perfect weather at the moment, but what you can say about this place is that if it is sunny, then there may be just some of that wet stuff just around the corner. Long-term forecasts look pretty good, actually, when you compare it to last year and the year before, but there's bound to be some inclement weather along the way.
I love your little ray of sunshine, Mr.
What
Park.
can I say?
No.
Been here too many times.
Already had cars out on the Grand Prix circuit and indeed on the Nordschleife this morning for various of the support races. Not everybody came back the same way as they went out, as is, I'm afraid, often the case here. Leading up to this event, been one or two little problems to report, including the Glickenhaus having to be taken away yesterday, and that wasn't in the pit lane when we were doing our pit walk for Midweek Motorsport on the Radio Show Limited network of channels. That show is available via radio-show.co.uk if you want to go there. All live and free, as we said, throughout the weekend. If you are moving around and or maybe if your bandwidth challenge, to be honest, and you can't stream the video, and then, of course, you can take the audio with you as well via the Radio Show player at radiolemans.com or radio-show.co.uk. It's an absolute picture. The local wildlife has been out in full, and listen carefully, you can hear it in the background. And if you'd like to tweet us, then it's at RSL_studio, and that will get you in front of our team throughout the weekend. We have assembled a robust squad, I think we could say, in the coming to the end of various soccer seasons around the world. All-star squad here, JP. And Ben Constantinos will be joining us later on in this session, and we've got Joe Bradley, Nick Damon and Peter Snowden as well to feed in throughout the commentary today and across the weekend. If you so desire, you can follow every second of what's going on, and we've also got for you the BMW M2 Legends race. That will be on the Grand Prix circuit on Saturday, and on Friday night the Falcon Drift Show down at the bottom of the Grand Prix circuit. Looking forward to talking you through that with Rebecca Evans, who'll be joining me here in the booth. We have no free practice here, Johnny. It is all competitive sessions from here on in. Yeah, 3 standard qualifying sessions, if you like. 2 of them taking place today, 1 tomorrow afternoon. The first is about to start within the next 30 seconds, and cars are assembling at the end of the pit lane to be involved in first qualifying, which is due to be a 90-minute session. Later on this evening, to allow for some nighttime running, second qualifying, which is an 8:30 start through till pretty late, 11:30 tonight.
then some opportunity to reset up the cars if necessary, because then at 2:10 tomorrow afternoon is third qualifying. That's only an hour and is eligible again to everybody, although if you're already qualified for the very top qualifying session, which is tomorrow at 10 to 6, if you're one of those 15 cars already in, you won't be able to take part in the first 20 minutes today, or indeed the first 20 minutes later and tomorrow. That is
effectively the pole shootout that we're talking about there, for the very front of the field, the SP9, the GT3 cars.
Yes, because if you're going to be in top qualifying, or Q2 as it is listed in the regulations, you have to be an SP9, an SP Pro or an SPX car, and there are in Q2 19 spots up for grabs, but 15 of them are already allocated because of the 2 NLS races we have had. That's the sort of domestic version of the 24 hours. It's unrelated, it's run by a completely different promoter and actually a different circuit, different configuration of the Grand Prix track.
Good point.
Because we are using the Yokohama S at the start of the lap, which is the flick right and left, very, very tight there, particularly on the first lap on Saturday afternoon. And you go all the way down to the bottom of the hill on the Grand Prix track as well, to the hairpin this weekend, whereas they don't use that in NLS. But we've had qualifiers from 2 NLS races, from top qualifying in the qualification weekend, which was two weekends ago?
Yes.
And there were also qualifiers from those 2 races as well. There was a 3-hour race on Saturday and a 3-hour race on Sunday that weekend.
Yeah. There were 2 top qualifyings as well, but it was only I think it was only the first one that counted. It's an extremely complicated algorithm, which we're not going to explain, mainly because Johnny and I don't understand it ourselves.
Correct. There is an argument as to exactly how interesting it is, actually. You need to know your stuff if you're a team.
Yes, exactly. But really, it doesn't matter right now, is what we're saying. Correct. What matters is when we get the list to tell us who the extra 4 are. We've had it on the wall, we've worked it out with quadratic equations, and we still haven't got the answer.
What I will say is, though, the 2022 regulations make it very easy for us to call the first bit of top qualifying tomorrow night, because we're just talking about the top 4 in that session. You have to be in the top 4 to then go through to final qualifying, which will determine the front 10 rows of the grid for 19 cars.
Not sure why it's 19 and not 20.
No, that's bugging me as well.
Is that a bit Enzo Ferrari? It's 1 fewer than you know you can sell. Is that how
clever? That would answer it. Definitely.
I've got some very good news for you if you are a Glickenhaus fan, because that car was one of the first out, and immediately on with a quick installation lap on the run round through the Grand Prix circuit, and then off to the Nordschleife itself. And we'll give you some times as they start coming in. The option in these early sessions, with the cones part the way up the front straight, in fact the cones end right in front of our commentary box. We're at the finish line, right on the stripe, as we look across to the TV Rhineland Tower, and the green flag is waving there at the moment. The penalty box right in front of us as well. So you can go around the Grand Prix circuit, and instead of peeling off onto the Hartzenbach, just come through the Vidal chicane and stay to the right, come back through the old Coca-Cola curve in front of the Dorrant Hotel, which many people are doing, and then setting off on the lap. I had a good look at the cars yesterday in a pit walk down on the pit lane. As usual, the cars are pitted in groups, so nobody has a garage to themselves. I think the smallest number that I saw yesterday was 4 cars in a garage, but most of them are 5 and 6. Out onto the circuit early on for the Audi number 5, and that's got, well, we noticed this yesterday, absolutely outstanding lineup of drivers, as one might expect. Waiting just to see which of the drivers has gone out in that car. At the moment, that's the car that Frank Stippler is in. The timing screen's just getting warmed up this morning. We started with 90 minutes on the clock. Couldn't have much better than weather than what we have at the moment, than that which we have at the moment. A little bit of cloud blowing up over the top of the Schloss, the castle on the hill, but we can see that very easily, and there is sunshine on the front straight. This is a great place to be, and the atmosphere is building. Campsites, I would say, around about 75–80% full, so still 1 or 2 spaces for people maybe to turn in today. It is a holiday weekend, of course, Ascension Day today here in this part of the world. So the usual variety of cars going through. One of the Teichmann crossbows just going across in front of us and out onto the circuit. The Bilstein, or the Manfilter, excuse me, AMG on the hats and back at the moment.
Yeah, so some key cars to look out for. I mean, what I'll do is I'll give you the already qualified cars for tomorrow's session, because clearly they're going to be some of the major movers and shakers. We've got 2 Rover Racing BMWs, and these are no longer the M6s. They are the brand new M4 GT3s, cars 99 and 98. I have to make sure I get this the right way around. The 99 car is already qualified, but the 98, the sister machine from Rover, has the hard work to do. Now, it's already kind of into first top qualifying tomorrow, but will need to finish in the top 4 if they want to progress and fight it out for a front row start. The 98 car has Nicky Katzberg, John Edwards, Sheldon van der Linde and Marco Wittmann. And in the sister machine, the 99 car, it's Conor Di Filippi, Philipp Eng, Augusto Farfus and Nick Yellerly, and it's the second of those cars that has already qualified. Also in the 72 BMW Junior team, so same type of car for that crew, and 72, some good results already this year. Daniel Harper, Max Hesse and Neil Verhagen in car 72. That's the Shell-backed machine. Got Conrad Motorsports Lamborghini Huracan for Axel Jeffries, Jordan Pepper and Michele Di Martino, the Italian. Car number 7 has already qualified. The first of the Audis in was the 22 machine, which is one of a couple of Car Collection backed, or rather prepared cars. The number 22 has Chris Haase, Nico Müller, Patrick Niederhauser and René Rast. Just one of so many incredibly strong lineups. Valkenhorst Motorsport, 3 BMWs for them, 2 of which are already in, the 101 and the 102 cars. From a Team Get Speed point of view, these are the bright pink and white BWT-backed Mercedes AMGs. Only one of those cars in so far, the Maro Engel, Jules Gounon and Daniel Juncker-Deher piloted car, but the number 3, which is the one that had Adam Christodoulou in it, they still have to qualify too. Last year's race winners, the champions, Michael Christensen, Kevin Estre, Fred Makovici and Lawrence Vantor, is this year's lineup for the number 1 Manthey racing car. That would normally run as, well, 911 or 912. Yeah. I forget now. Yeah. But anyway, they're number 1 this year because they won last year's race, and they're already into qualifying, as is the number 25 Uber Motorsport Porsche, the 24, the second Audi from Car Collection, the Bilstein Mercedes that you've just mentioned, which is Raffaele Marciello, Philip Ellis, Lucas Stoltz. There's a Ferrari already into top qualifying 2, which is the Octane 126 Ferrari 488, the Lion Speed by Car Collection Motorsport Audi, and finally the 34 Schnitzelarm racing car already in too. And some of those cars will be on the main Nordschleife lap now, others spending the early part of this 90-minute session just perambulating on the Grand Prix circuit. You can pick that middle lane as you get towards the hairpin at the end of the Grand Prix lap to go around again on the Grand Prix circuit, or indeed just to come into the pits.
So did you say that all those qualified cars don't get to come out
Until 20 minutes in, yes.
Right.
That's right. So
okay,
actually,
understood.
Many of them, all of them, will not be actually out on the circuit yet, because we're not 20 minutes in, are we? No, only 10 in. So, yeah, there'll be a burst from the pit lane of those 15 cars in about 10 minutes' time. Okay. Hence the reason why the 98 Rover Racing BMW is taking part in this session, because they by no means have their weekend sorted yet and a front row start secured.
Now, what is important to understand is that for everybody outside those top classes that JP mentioned a few moments ago, so the SP9, the SPX, the SP8s, these qualifying sessions now will set the grid. So when we talk about fastest in class in these sessions, they are provisional pole sitters, Johnny. That's correct. They don't get to come out again.
That's right. There are a total of 22 different classes here this year, and 3 of those classes, their positions will be determined tomorrow in the evening session. So that means we've got 19 classes that we're all finding out who's going to be in pole position for Saturday and Sunday's race. 4 o'clock start on Saturday. So you've got classes like Cup 2, Cup 3, Cup 5, Cup X.
VT front and VT2 front and VT2.
It's been split this year.
Yeah.
So you have front and you have Hecker. VT2 Hecker, which is for the rear-wheel drive cars. SP8T, SP8, SP40. There are, as I say, 22 classes in total, and we will try and feature them all throughout the course of the next 4 days.
Yeah, good luck with that, as I said. We've got a yellow flag out by the carousel. I'll try and bring you the car for that. It's the carousel exit. Actually, it's clear again already. So possibly just a little drop there. These early sessions, of course, are going to take a while before we get times coming through for you. So we're not talking about times because quite simply there aren't any at the moment, and still cars coming out onto the Grand Prix circuit having done a quick install lap. Notice the second of the Ferraris. 2 Ferraris here in the top class. The Octane 126 we know about, but the blue and white Ferrari is here as well.
Racing One.
Correct.
Yes, and yeah, their lineup may sneak beneath the radar, but shouldn't actually be overlooked. Racing One Ferrari for Christian Kohlhaas, Stefan Kohler, Norbert Schneider is in that car, and Alex Koenig. So that will be, I need to refer to my notes, but I'm pretty sure that is a Pro-Am machine. Right. And there are Pro-Ams permitted into top qualifying, in fact actively encouraged, and there's nothing to stop a Pro-Am car starting from pole position. Depending on who you put into it, it should then naturally fall a little further down the order. But bear in mind, of the 15 cars, 6 of them are Pro-Am that are already qualified, including one of the Vulcan Horse Motorsport BMWs, and car 14 is on the eligible list to take part in Q1 tomorrow, along with a number of other Pro-Am cars as well. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that car gets on, not for an outright good result, but within that Pro-Am mixture of SP9s.
So still waiting. We say this every time we come here. Recalibrate your brains here. If you're a motorsport fan, even if you're a Le Mans fan with an 8.5 mile lap, this is as long again as that, so twice the distance around. So in terms of lap times, we should start to see, we're getting the split times coming in, but we haven't had a full time yet. Just starting to see cars coming through now. There goes the number 5 Audi, one of the Audi Evo 2s, of course, we're on to with that car now. 10 years since Audi first won this race. That was the Scherer Sport Team Phoenix machine. Vincent Kolb, Frank Stippler, Ricardo Vella and Kelvin von der Linde, who are teamed up for that. Interesting strategic calls happening even before we get to competitive running, never mind the race, in how the teams, particularly at the sharp end of the field, JP, have selected their drivers, and particularly the numbers of drivers. Is it a 4-driver race now? Is it a 3-driver race now? And it seems that there's no consensus there between the top teams.
You can run with as few as two, you know. That's what it says in the regulations, run with two drivers.
That makes your rest period calculations very, very difficult.
Horrible. Yeah. So, unsurprisingly, none of the top teams are doing that. But a lot of them are going with three, which is the approach, mandated approach for Le Mans, of course. But the more popular route in more recent years has been four drivers at this event, and it's fairly telling for me that the guys defending the 2021 title, car number one, do have four drivers. But you look the next two cars down the list at Get Speed, and both of them, Mercedes, only the three. Yeah,
Get Speed in a new for 2022 colour scheme. We've been used to seeing those in the red and white. They are now in the pink, blue and white BWT colours, so get used to seeing that this weekend. The BMW M2 Racing Cup car of Schubert Motorsport with Torsten Schubert, Stefan and Michael von Zabienski is the car that's causing the yellow at the exit of Carousel. That has stopped out there, according to race control. No further details on that than that at the moment.
So in car 98, an 8:17.540 was a very early effort from John Edwards. And that actually, on the preliminary lap times coming in now, gives him a 4.2 second advantage over the number 29, which is one of the two Dynamic Motorsport Porsches for Matteo Cairoli. So BMW faster than Porsche, and that 29 car's time, an 8:21.8. And then the Aston Martin, which is numbered car 90 for Nicky Thiem, and he is at the wheel of the TF Sport Vantage, joined by Marco Sorensen, David Pittard, Maxime Martin for the race. But it's the Dane putting in the initial time, his first effort, an 8:22.184. So we've got BMW ahead of Porsche, Aston Martin, then the first of the Audis, and that is the number 15 car for Laurens Vanthoor. Dries Vanthoor, I should say. Dries in the Team Phoenix car. All I'm getting on my screen, unfortunately, is the first three letters of everybody's surname, so I do have to cross-check to make sure we're getting the correct of the two brothers there. And 44 will be Klaus Bachler in the Falcon Motorsport Porsche. Remember Falcon having many years ago run, well, 4 or 5 years ago, having run a BMW M6 and a Porsche as their two cars. They've gone the two Porsche route for the last few years, and 33 and 44 virtually identical when we looked at them up close in the garages yesterday. Klaus Bachler, though, labelled to be driving 44, along with Alessio Picariello, Patrick Pilet and Martin Ragginger. Pilet's in both of them, though, and it remains to be seen whether that will be the case come the race. It gives them flexibility, though, should they want to do that. And you said there's some doubt about Jackson Evans being in 33?
He's moved across to a Porsche customer team.
Right.
Mark was Seafried telling us that last week. BMW under tow now. And that was the 880 car, the Schubert Motorsport M2 Racing Cup. That car is under tow and coming back. Again, apologies for those of you who know all of this, but we seldom, if ever, see the intervention of safety cars here at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Double waved yellows, code 60s, code 120.